Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into some really interesting teachings from Sheikh Nurjan Miramati.
That's right. We're focusing on the spiritual science of manifestation, where our energy really comes from, and a unique take on patterns like the flower of life.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're someone who thinks about energy fields or maybe your own inner power, cosmic patterns, that kind of thing, well, we're going to explore these ideas through the specific lens of this source material.
Mm-hmm. Our aim today is really to unpack the insights from this tradition. We want to understand, based on this source, how creation actually manifests, where this inner power really originates.
And what those familiar concepts, like, say, the flower of life, might represent from this particular perspective.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. One of the really striking points the source makes is about the heart, the qalb. It's described as, well, much more than just a physical organ.
Right. It's presented as containing this huge unseen energy, like the core electrical system for our whole being.
And here's the interesting part. The source says this power, this beat, it's not actually generated by you.
Yeah, that's key. What's fascinating from this perspective is the idea that the energy's ultimate source is, well, beyond what current science can really pin down. It comes, the source says, from Allah Almighty.
The absolute origin of all energy, who needs nothing from us.
Correct. So your very existence, your creation, is shown as totally dependent on this, you could say, external power source, like something that could just be unplugged. Mm-hmm. And this dependence, the source argues, that's the fundamental sign we aren't self-sufficient, even if we, feel like we are.
So rather than looking like way out in the cosmos for signs of divine power,
the source directs you inward.
Right. It suggests Allah Almighty's greatest sign of divine power isn't out there somewhere, but it's actually beating right inside your chest, the heart.
Not the complex brain, interestingly, but that relentless pulse, that energy keeping us going for decades, something incredibly hard for, even our best tech to copy.
Which leads to a really pointed question the source raises, doesn't it?
It does. Why are we so often looking to the stars or distant spiritual realms when this divine reality is described as being right here?
Closer than your own jugular vein, as the saying goes.
Exactly. Which implies this incredible intimacy, but also immense accountability.
Yeah.
Every single beat is a gift from Allah Almighty. And that connection, it can be paused, stopped, any moment.
Okay, so let's connect this directly to manifestation then. How does this inner energy relate to, creating our reality?
Well, the source is very clear on this. This power, the one emanating from within your being, that is presented as the very source of your ability to manifest anything.
And accessing it, directing it.
It's tied profoundly to the state of the heart itself, its purity, its condition.
Right, so the spiritual path, what the source calls tariqah, it's fundamentally about opening and purifying that heart space.
Yes, the emphasis is on striving for a qalbi salim, a pure, sound heart. The source strongly suggests that outward practices, prayers, recitations, they lose a lot of their value if the inner reality, the heart, isn't clean.
Like putting something dirty into that sacred space where Allah Almighty's pure beat resides, that's seen as a major spiritual mistake.
Precisely.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, connecting to those universal patterns many people explore. The flower of life, the tree of life.
Yes, the source actually presents those diagrams, the intersecting circles like the flower of life, not just as abstract symbols. They're seen as reflections, or maybe analogies, for the layered levels of the heart itself, as described in this tradition.
So the power behind those patterns.
The argument is that the power animating those geometric forms, the energy driving creation structure, it originates from the reality of this divine heart. It's described as the central command.
The ultimate portal to divine presence and energy.
Mm-hmm. So reaching the reality of your own heart from this viewpoint is like gaining access to the secrets and the power behind everything.
But this central command, it isn't operating independently, is it?
No, and the source explains this through divine oneness. It operates, quote, under the authority of Muhammadan Rasulullah, peace and blessing be upon him.
Which isn't about separation?
No, it's about the most perfected, the most complete door or channel for divine presence and power to actually manifest into creation.
Okay.
The source describes how the immense unseen power of La ilaha illallah, meaning there is no deity but Allah Almighty, manifests its capability, its qudra, through this specific reality called Muhammadan Rasulullah, peace and blessing be upon him, but in the world of light.
And that's presented as the foundational source power for all creation to manifest.
That's the teaching. Everything, the source says, must take its form and authority from la ilaha illallah, but it's channeled through that perfected reality.
It even brings in concepts some might label, like dark matter.
Right, but interpreting it not as physical stuff, but as the non-manifesting reality linked to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, the origin point.
Where things emerge from potentiality.
From that state of annihilation into his reality. And the source suggests you have to sort of return through that same door. You have to practice annihilation or being nothing yourself.
To uncover the secrets. Or return to your original state.
Both, potentially. And that return absolutely requires breaking your manifestation.
Yeah.
Letting go of the ego. Learning humility. Practicing being nothing.
The source is quite direct about this.
Very. The more you embody humility and nothingness, the more you begin to perceive that oneness, starting with the reality of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, arrogance, self-importance that's seen as the main blockage.
And the key to dissolving that blockage.
Cultivating profound love for Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. That's described as the way to melt away arrogance and enter those immense oceans of power and reality.
So let's try to wrap this up. What's the core takeaway here from this source's perspective?
I think the main idea is that the heart is, well, vastly more than physical. It's the central point of divine energy, the engine of our manifestation.
And it's intrinsically linked to the perfected reality of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him.
Exactly. And that, the source argues, is the deeper truth behind concepts people might know as the flower of life or similar patterns.
And accessing this power, this central command, it's not about external seeking so much.
No, it requires deep inner purity, actively cleansing the heart, cultivating genuine humility, real love. It's really a call to shift focus inward.
Away from just looking for external signs, towards exploring this profound inner reality where creation's power is said to originate. So here's something to think about. If, as the source suggests, the most potent sign of divine power isn't out there somewhere, but is actually the beat already pulsing within your own chest, what does that imply about where your spiritual seeking should truly be focused?